up and they have to be out of town.
Yeah.
So, all right, I can do that a little bit better there. Well, we are live. Excellent.
Yep. We're good.
And it's in dark mode, which is freaking me out a little bit, I think.
I love dark mode.
Well, and normally, things are. I have apps set dark mode or light mode depending on what's going on. But yesterday, I tested something. I switched. I used Siri and said, "Hey, switch to dark mode," and it switched everything to dark mode. And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about. I just got to pull it up here. Oh yeah, gut health is already there. Okay. All right. That looks okay. Let's go. Welcome back to Silicon Scoop, everybody. We got a lot to talk about today, and with me, as always, is my co-host John Irwin. How you doing today, John?
Good. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing great. It's early, and we got a lot to talk about, so we might as well jump right into it. So, PillTrek. I'm going to say PillTrek. PillTrek is revolutionizing gastronomical diagnostics. What if you could swallow a pill that wasn't a pill, was a device that actually sent information to your app to tell you exactly what was going on in your gut? That's what PillTrek says they're doing, and it sounds like it's revolutionary. What's happening here, John?
Yeah, and so like when you first posted the article, I was like, isn't there already a pill that does this? And then I did some research. I'm like, no, it's a pill that just takes pictures as it goes through your gut. So yeah, this is cool. They've developed this miniature capsule, which is only 7 millimeters by 25 millimeters, 7 millimeters wide by 25 millimeters long. And in this small package, they've got it's a whole wireless electrochemical workstation built from low power and affordable electronics. So it houses reconfigurable sensors, and they're capable of performing some different things like profiling of the GI tract, measuring real-time levels of pH, temperature, glucose, various metabolites, ions, and neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which is cool, which I like. They I don't know how they created the modular design of it, but it's got a whole bunch of sensors that can be swapped out depending on which biomarkers are most relevant. But this is really cool. I'm not surprised that this has come out now, but I would love to try it. What are your thoughts on this, Craig?
Yeah, this is amazing.
Oh, there's the yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of at the beginning of what you're talking, I went and searched. I got a picture that we kind of post and compare it to.
Yeah.
It's really cool that we're taking that step beyond. There was a pill that could track and maybe take some stuff, and then but it's nothing like what this is doing. And I don't know how many people I talked to where they're taking that swab and sending it away to figure out what's going on inside their gut, to take different things, to do probiotics, to do all this stuff. What if you could actually know what's going on?
Yeah. I was actually thinking about how to measure dopamine levels because, we have ADHD, right? And being able to monitor dopamine levels would be great. And I think this pill could do that maybe. But how long does it last in your system? That's the question.
Yeah, so it's 7 millimeters in diameter, 25 millimeters in length. You can see in the picture, for those of you who are watching, that's a quarter. And it's just about the length, just slightly longer than the diameter of a quarter.
It looks like the size of an omega-3 pill is what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I take 4 of those every morning, so that's easy for me to swallow. So
the low-cost sensors make it affordable, the wireless communication to send data to external devices. I'm not sure about the safety and efficacy of sending wireless stuff out from inside you to outside you, but besides that, the concept is cool.
What about the battery too? Look, it looks like a pill battery, right? It looks like an old school pill battery.
The wireless capsule endoscopy technology represents a major step forward. Unlike traditional methods, the pill doesn't require camera or bulky equipment. The biomarker detection happens automatically as the pill moves through the digestive system. And they focused on making the device both powerful and practical. They wanted something doctors could use regularly without a high cost or complex procedure. So I didn't see the cost, but I'll keep looking to see if I can find the cost in here. So it has basic parameters like pH levels from 1 to 14, very acidity to very basic, temperature ranging from body heat to fever levels, ionic strength showing salt and mineral content. So it seems pretty interesting. Advanced biomarkers, the metabolites like short chain fatty acids that grow gut bacteria health. You mentioned the neurotransmitters, including serotonin, the happy chemical, and dopamine. So it's tracking these now.
Yeah, and this is cool. This would be cool if it can replace endoscopy, colonoscopy, and stool sampling. Those are the three that if it could replace that, that would be awesome. Because well, endoscopy and colonoscopies are very invasive, so that would be great.
Yeah, both of those things, cutting those down would be, you know, if you wanted to go to there, they cut out a lot of those tests now, or they made them later. I can't remember, but it'd be nice just to be able to go to the doctor, take a pill. You know, everybody gets the information. You know, you poop it out and go. Life goes on.
Yeah, and so like when I was doing when I thought that this had already been released, so the difference between this pill and the other capsule that you can swallow is the old capsule just provides video or snapshots, whereas this provides insights by tracking chemical changes as they happen in real life. So it makes it really valuable for monitoring kind of chronic GI inflammation, metabolic disorders such as diabetes, and it helps with research into the gut brain communication. So I think this is really cool. I would swallow one. How about you?
Absolutely. The device keeps working for many hours. It sends wireless signals throughout its journey from stomach to intestine. This is sustained wireless transmissions gives doctor a detailed map of your digestive health. Scientists can program different sensors, like you mentioned, for various conditions. The same basic device can look for diabetes markers or inflammation signals or mental health chemicals. And they've proven testing in animals. They've been testing this in rabbits.
Nice. I'm curious because you brought this up about the wireless signals being broadcast from inside. If that affects gut health or anything like that, I'd be interested to know.
Well, I think we're into a little bit of a newer area here, so it'd be interesting to see. There's still some size concerns. The device might need to be even smaller for some patients, like children or people with
Yeah.
swallowing difficulties, because that omega-3 pill or cod liver oil pill or whatever you want to, that size of pill is not the easiest thing to swallow. The battery life works for current testing. However, longer monitoring periods might require better power management systems. Yeah, we need to do human trial validation because animal testing shows promise, but human trials are still needed, and to manufacture this stuff at scale.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
The clinical condition monitoring includes metabolic syndrome management. Doctors can track diabetes, obesity, heart disease, risk factors continuously. The device measures glucose levels and other metabolic markers throughout the digestive process. So you could take one of these every day, I guess, if they were cheap enough. Inflammatory disorder detection, conditions like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, cause of inflammation. They can detect these things and cytokines and other inflammation. Gut brain connection research, discovering strong links between digestive health and mental wellness. Neuropsychotic conditions, insights, depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions might be linked to gut bacteria. And chronic disease management. So this sounds very promising. I'm really looking forward to where this is going.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. Let's hope they can commercial. I'd be willing to take part in a trial too for this, but I know those are difficult to get into. But
There's a detailed article over there on torontostarts.com. Go over there and check it out if you want to read more. We'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah.
All right. There was a McDonald's data breach that happened in July 2025, this month, when security research discovered the serious flaws in the McHire hiring system. The AI-powered platform used a chatbot called Olivia to talk with job applicants and help manage the recruitment process. The security problem started with poor password practices. The McHire system had an administration account that used 123456 as the password, and the default password has never been changed. And there was no multi-factor authentication to add extra protection. The second major problem was insecure direct object reference invulnerability, a technical flaw that meant attackers could change the applicant ID numbers in the system's internal programming. By doing this, they could access any applicant's private information without proper permission. So this was crazy. I will get into more details. What do you think about this security breach of McDonald's McHire chatbot?
Again, this comes down to just plain stupidity and laziness. Like how many of these hacks happen because default passwords aren't changed or are just kept the same, right? This like any kind of system where you are where you're gathering people's information needs to be secure. Like it's a given. There's not going to be, well, the company might get fired or whoever involved might get fired, but like there should be more repercussions for this because this is people's personal information and people need to start getting more serious about stuff like this.
64 million applicant records were exposed.
Yeah, like and what's going to happen? Nothing. Like maybe they'll get sued. Oh, big whoop. They have to pay out a couple $1 million. But like it just underlines the more serious nature of things like this as it happens more and more and more. What, there was 1 billion records that were hacked, that we covered last month? Yeah. Like and this one is just a simple stupid oversight that someone did, that someone left. So there was no two-factor authentication. There were no security protections in place for this account. So like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they deserve this. But sorry to all those people whose information was exposed. But yeah, so they relied on this AI chatbot called Olivia from paradox.ai. I don't know who was in charge of the default password, but to automate the early stages of the hiring, including collecting applicant details, resumes, and even administering personality assessments. So there were security researchers that were doing this. I don't know who the security researchers were, but they found that they could log into a dormant admin portal for a test franchise using the username password 123456, which is crazy. Left the whole back door open. And like you said, once inside, there was a second flaw where they can manipulate applicant ID numbers and a web address. So they could view anyone's application. They can view chat data. It revealed names, contact info, chat histories of millions of applicants. Although I'll say this, thankfully, it did not include social security numbers or banking data. So, what are your thoughts on this, Craig?
Well, it mentions, they could access sensitive chat logs and applicant information by guessing ID numbers. Now, they're usually sequential. So you just kind of, the next one is the next ID number, right?
Yeah.
And so you just have to start going through them. Once you have one, you can go up and down that chain pretty fast to get the information you need. And well, the question is, there's no fixing stupid. And, I say that lightly because, people don't care about security. Like, I can't tell you how many times I brought up security concerns to inside major organizations, and people don't care.
And a lot of times it's an easy fix.
And so who's to blame? Like the default password who put it in, the tech person who installed it, the admin who's overseeing it, all the individual admins on the system. Like, when you say someone needs to be held accountable, like at what we have standard accounting practices. I guess maybe we need standard security practices for organizations of 10 or more people, or organizations that hold more than 100 people's data, and they must follow these, generally regarded, what do they call them in practice? It's the generally agreed upon standards.
Best practices.
Yeah, no,
Or
there's a
standards? Yeah.
there's a thing. It's an acronym. It doesn't really matter, but it's generally agreed upon accounting practices. So same thing with security. And then if you break those, then maybe you can be held accountable. But there's nobody saying, okay, well, there are some rules about you must secure this and that. Well, it was secure, just nobody changed the password. So who do you go after? Do you go after
What
the
was the
organization?
security? Because they didn't change the passwords.
No, but I mean, agreed. My point being is who do you go after for that? Like
Yeah.
the third party, like who does the audit, who's responsible? Like, because we don't have a set of security, generally accepted security standards that all organizations must follow or be fined at some level, then this is going to continue to happen. And I'm not a fan of big regulation where we need to really start enforcing more things, but from this kind of thing, as we go more and more online and your identity can be stolen in a heartbeat, we need some stricter rules.
Yeah.
But it makes it harder. As soon as you start putting regulation on, everyone I know is starting an online business. Like when I say everyone I know, I mean everyone I know.
Yeah.
And we've all gonna have to deal with different security issues, different data that we have to store and all that kind of stuff, and we're all doing it differently.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, most of the people I'm working with don't have many customers, so it's not as big of a risk. But at the same time, you need to have insurance. You need to have a bunch of stuff related to this when this happens. McDonald's will be okay because I'm sure they have security insurance for this kind of stuff. But
Still, yeah.
lots of data was compromised. The complete chat logs between the applications and the full name and contact details, email addresses, phone numbers, preferred work shifts, locations for job assignments, complete resume details, and work history.
Yeah.
Like, you can easily take someone's identity with this information.
Probably, yeah.
You've got their full address, phone number, email, their complete work history.
Yeah. It'll be a little bit more difficult without the social security number, but yeah, they could. Yeah.
But I also would imagine, because you're applying for work, that might even be in here. I just don't know if they put it. Private conversation, sensitive questions about work, internal message, complete application submission dates, interviewing, scheduling. So I guess you don't necessarily give somebody your social security number until they're hiring you.
Okay.
Right? Like till you're signing the paperwork.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that could easily be part of the hiring process. So now they've had to change some things because they've had reputational damage, legal and compliance issues. The breach likely triggered investigations by data protection authorities. Companies may face fines and legal action for failing to protect personal information properly. However, what does that mean, right? So they have this area where they have these rules, and I say, what does that mean? But we have accountants. People have security officers now, but they're not doing their jobs because technology is expanding so fast and we're using too many third-party apps and whatnot. And trying to say that in a world like McDonald's that the security needs to be on top of all of this, they're probably two people in the organization. I don't know. McDonald's is a big company. So like, they have to start taking it seriously around this stuff, especially when you expose it. Chatbots are vulnerable, and so you need to be able to secure some data in the back end and make sure that you're not giving any of that back.
Yeah, and they're even chatbots are even vulnerable to a bunch of different acts. Remember that person that got the chatbot to give him it was a Ford dealership chatbot. I think we covered it. Yeah.
Who brought the price to zero and sold him a car for nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are things that you have to be careful of. And when you're doing AI automation, you need to make sure you have someone who knows what they're doing. Also, that people take a long, hard look at, how all these systems are integrated. But we can say all that. but for the most part, it was a bad password.
Yeah.
Once you're into the system, they had this other vulnerability that they had to they've had to since added proper authentication check to ensure users could only access data they had permission to view. And they've added that across their entire security platform. But it's something that probably should have been in place day one. But like I said, everyone I know is building companies, and they wouldn't add a feature like this until after something like this happened. But this is McDonald's, right? It's not but Paradox AI, how big are they?
Yeah, I don't even know. I haven't heard of them until we actually, I have heard of the name, but I haven't looked into them until I haven't even looked into them yet, but I didn't the name wasn't as relevant until this article, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Apparently they do AI assistance for all things hiring.
Cool.
Anyway, this just goes to show you that no matter where you are and who you're dealing with, your data isn't necessarily secure, and you need to be like, what is a process for an individual? You didn't hire me, so I want you to remove me from the system. They're going to say, no, we want to keep you in the system just in case.
Yeah.
How do you, so they actionable prevention recommendations, enhanced authentication mechanisms, API security improvements, third-party risk management, and automated security monitoring. I won't go through the details there. All of that's in the article there on Toronto Starts. And you just got to make sure you've protected yourself. And I guess no matter how much I don't like the two-factor authentication where they text you and stuff, because I think there should be a better way for two-factor. You need a second or third factor in some of these things to keep your data secure. Now you just do.
Yeah, I'm using I hate 2FA, but I'm using it for all my sensitive accounts now. I like, no matter what. Like, there's times where I have to put it in every single time, which I don't mind at all for specific things. But I know it's annoying, but it is like, I get notifications sometimes of people trying to get in because of the two-factor authentication. So
what's annoying is that there's not really a good standard. I have like 3 authentication apps, and I have some that email me and some that text me. And so I'm like, and fine, I'm not an old fuddy-duddy. I can navigate that, but that's me. I just had a deal where we put two-factor authentication on my mother's account, and she was locked out of her banking for a week until I could go down and fix it with her. And that's just, because people don't get it. So it's
passkeys are supposed to replace all that, but they're not being implemented that fast yet.
No. And so, an authenticator apps like the Google Authenticator is not bad if you don't mind using giving Google your information and stuff. So those types of things.
Microsoft one's shutting down, right? So
that's what I heard.
Yeah.
But who knows? Because these things change with all these companies. One day they're moving in one direction, next day they do this, then they switch back when they realize security is becoming a bigger issue and they need it in their systems.
Yeah.
So we'd love to know what you think about this McDonald's 64 million employee application information hack, whether they should be held accountable for more than this, and whether organizations need to be held to a higher standard around this, and individuals as well, because you could say organizations, but it's one person who didn't change the password or 10 people. So are they personally responsible for this? And then, who's going to want to take a job around this if they forget to take their password? We'd love to hear what your thoughts on how this would work, and where we should go.
Yeah.
Oh, I put the wrong graphic on that one. All right. Windsurf AI 72-hour turbulence, where it was sold for approximately $3 billion. We'll look at the number in a second. To OpenAI, Microsoft said, we get access to all that tech, and Claude started pulling away when OpenAI started announcing this agreement, and it was all but confirmed. And then it got canceled, and Google swept in and said, we're going to take the founder and the top talent and give them a bunch of money and buy a non-exclusive in perpetuity license and just take all these people and leave Windsurf to be Windsurf. And now here we are. This is one of the craziest acquisition stories that have happened, or non-acquisition stories, depending on how, because it was eventually acquired in the end. Tell us what happened here, John.
Yeah, this is crazy. So Windsurf, I don't know, you might know them as Codium. So they developed this AI coding tool that automates much of the software engineering workflows. So in early 2025, OpenAI put in a bid of $3 billion to acquire Windsurf and promised to secure exclusive rights to its technology and boost OpenAI's dominance in the coding assistance. However, there were a lot of complications around IP, or intellectual property rights, especially concerning Microsoft, who is a major OpenAI investor. So what happened was Microsoft expected access to any tech that OpenAI acquired, including Windsurf's, but Windsurf resisted. And so the unresolved tensions over control and partnership terms ultimately torpedoed the deal as the exclusivity window expired. So almost immediately after the deal fell apart, Google then, like, just to reiterate, they engineered a strategic reverse acquire where they, instead of buying the company outright, they hired some of the top talent. And they secured a $2.4 billion non-exclusive license to Windsurf's technology, which obviously is going to strengthen Google's DeepMind push into the agentic coding. So Google didn't assume ownership of Windsurf, nor will it control the company directly. Now, to take it even further, so with both the leadership and the tech partially kind of extracted, we got this other player, Cognition AI, which quickly acquired the remaining parts of Windsurf, which included Windsurf's entire product line of its agent-powered IDE, its intellectual property, the brand, business operations, and user base. And the user base apparently generates about 82 million in ARR, or annual recurring revenue, and serves more than 350 enterprise clients. So, crazy. What do you think about this? This was a whirlwind of just events that happened one after another after another.
Yeah, they were OpenAI was going to integrate this into Codex, and then Microsoft stepped up and said, "Wait a minute." Microsoft concerns centered on several key issues: potential cannibalization of GitHub's Copilot market share, overlapping intellectual property rights, strategic control over AI coding tool development, and competition between OpenAI and Microsoft existing products. So the conflict illustrated the complex dynamics between AI partnerships and competitive business interests. Microsoft's investment in OpenAI came with strings attached, including veto power over acquisitions that might threaten Microsoft's existing products.
Yeah. I'm curious as to why this was such an issue for Microsoft, because they don't, like, they've got, I don't know how well Copilot integrates. What's it called now that they have Team Foundation Server? What's it called now? TFS? I don't even know.
I'm not following. Yeah, but so it's really direct competition with their products, and with OpenAI pulling away from Microsoft and their relationship falling apart in the last several months. If you haven't seen how much money they've pulled out of deals, they don't want OpenAI taking off and becoming a major competitor. And they said, no.
Yeah.
And they had veto power. So, it's silly for OpenAI to let that happen. And this was part of what happens when you're growing as a startup. Like I said, they started as a not-for-profit, and then they're switching to a for-profit, and they're part of this. And like Elon and X, they all invested in a bunch of companies invested when they're not-for-profit. Now that they're for-profit, they're competing with these companies, and they're like, this isn't right. And so you make these deals to grow, and then sometimes they come back and bite you in the butt, is all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And this is just one of those ones. So, like you mentioned, so the deal fell through. It was $3 billion. It collapsed a couple of days ago, and with concerns about the GitHub Copilot competition. So once the deal failed, Google came in and said, "Wait a minute." They moved quickly to capitalize the opportunity rather than pursuing a traditional acquisition. Google employed a sophisticated reverse acquire strategy that allowed them to capture Windsurf AI most valuable assets while avoiding regulatory complications. So Google approach. So what they did was they reduced regulation scrutiny, lowered upfront cost, faster execution time, and flexible to cherry pick the most valuable element. So this acqui-hire, Google executed a $2.4 billion deal to hire Windsurf's AI core leadership team, including the CEO Vaughn Mohan and co-founder Douglas Chen. This move also secured the crucial R&D teams responsible for the company's breakthrough AI coding technology. The deal included a non-exclusive license agreement that gave Google access to Windsurf's proprietary algorithms and development frameworks. This arrangement allowed Google to integrate Windsurf's innovation into their existing AI coding initiatives. Google's reverse acqui-hire demonstrated how companies can capture competitive advantage without traditional merger complexities. So this strategy has proved particularly effective in fast-moving AI sectors. So they grabbed the IP, they grabbed a bunch of stuff, they grabbed their best developers and the best minds, and said, "Yeah, you can have the rest."
Yeah. Well, hey, like there's like Cognition, I would say, is a new player, and they're trying to consolidate assets. Like the next generation of software engineering could see kind of like human AI teams where AIs do the grunt work, context management, and even project leadership, and allowing the engineers to focus on design, architecture, and even creativity, right? So Cognition might be this kind of force to be reckoned with. We'll have to see how what they end up doing next.
What they don't tell us in any of this is what the operating cost of Windsurf AI was, because I'm a big mind that most of these companies aren't profitable. And the more I dig into these AI coding tools, the more I find out they're burning money. Huge. Behind the scenes at Cursor, and again, this is all rumor, take it with speculation. It's a crap show, and we're expecting in 6 months for it to completely fall apart, and that's just based on some rumors and stuff I've seen. So unless hey, it's Silicon Valley, someone will come on and throw a few $100 million at it and extend that runway, and so this stuff happens. So we got to see who will be actually the ones to survive between Cursor versus Vercel, what Google's going to do now with Windsurf, what Cognition's going to do with Windsurf. So now we've got a bunch of more competition. I like competition. This whole deal feels a little dirty.
It does. Yeah.
So, things happen, and I guess, the money got to Windsurf somehow, but I'm not sure who got the money. When you do an acqui-hire, you're paying people to come and work for you. You're not necessarily paying the company a lot of stuff. So they probably paid it for the licensing, and then they're you co-founder and whatever, you come work for me now. I'm just paying you way more money. So we'll have to see. Interesting to see where that money falls. So do the rest of employees not get any of that money until Cognition comes along and hires them? So we'll have to see. I mean, the AI coding environment's always heating up. It's I'm always testing new tools in this. I'm such a amateur at this. You want to see what's going on with AI coding. Follow Reuben Cohen on LinkedIn. He's doing crazy Claude Swarm multi-coding stuff that's just incredible. Yeah, you should take a look. It's just amazing what he's doing. Way ahead of anything I've seen anybody else doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyway, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this acquisition and where the future of AI coding tools are going. And, are they going to end up dying or becoming open source because no one's making money? Or do you think this is a huge market opportunity and it'll be a bunch of money in the future? The revenue is going to be soaring. Nano antennas. They use optically levitated nanoparticles as their core technology. These tiny silicon nanoparticles controlled using laser trapping in an ultra-high vacuum environment of a 2 by 10 M bar. However, you're going to explain what an M bar is to me in a minute. 2 to the power of 10 minus 7 M bar. This innovative approach achieves unparalleled miniaturization and performance that was previously impossible with a conventional antenna design. So this breakthrough details a nano antenna built from optically levitated silica nanoparticles with a diameter of just 143 nanometers. And its low frequency range of 30 to 300 kilohertz makes it perfect for challenging environments. And this thing offers incredible range as well. What's happening with this crazy small antenna, John?
Yeah. So just first off, M bar, it's like bar like atmospheric pressure.
Yes.
So M bar is just a millibar.
Oh, got it. Yeah, from the vacuum environment. I didn't got. Yeah.
Yeah, it's atmospheric pressure, weather related changes, things like that. So yeah. So again, this is Zhejiang University in China. They achieved this. So the new type of antenna, the new type of antenna is 10,000 times smaller than conventional low frequency receivers. And the way that they achieve this, like you said, is they levitated silicon nanoparticles, which is just 143 nanometers in diameter, within a high vacuum using freaking lasers. And so the thing is for those of you that don't know, traditional low frequency antennas must be relatively large to be effective. And that's due to the relationship between antenna size and signal wavelength. And let's just talk about this real quick. So low frequencies are able to penetrate buildings and go through obstacles much easier than higher frequencies because their wavelength is much longer. The problem with that is that they can't carry as much data, which is why we have these, every time a new technology comes out, it's a higher frequency for the most part. And so when you have a longer wavelength, you need a longer antenna to capture that wavelength. So the way that they sidestepped this was by letting laser power, not size, determine the antenna's resonant frequency, which is cool. So the decoupling of this allows nano antennas around 100 nanometers to operate effectively across the 30 kilohertz to 180 kilohertz range, which covers essential low frequency bands for long range wireless communications. Now, they also enhanced each nanoparticle's electric field sensitivity by bombarding it with focused electron beams, giving each particle over 200 net electrical charges. So again, just to get into a little bit more of the technical, the nano antenna could then demodulate binary frequency shift key signals at bit error rates below 0.1%, which is under extremely weak electric fields. So real-world validation included successful data transmission, which is cool. So the system could send an image using these antennas with controlled error range. This is awesome. There's a lot of limitations, but there's a lot of potential here. What are your thoughts?
This is awesome. I mean, it is very interesting. I didn't see anything related to cost, but because it sounds expensive. But this looks like it's great for underwater. It's great for wherever there's atmospheric problems. So this is really interesting. It is low bandwidth right now,
Yeah.
but for the types of things they're targeting it at, like ionospheric research platforms that require sensitive low frequency compatible transmitters. This is great. So it'll be interesting. Like when I first saw this, my first question is, great, when am I going to get a really small antenna for my house that actually gets a lot of signals? But no.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hoping is that we'll be able to place, like, we'll be able to use these nano antennas more like repeaters, so that we can get the higher frequencies inside the house, without having expensive or large kind of arrays, if that makes sense. Because essentially all we're doing with these nano antennas is we're lowering their resonant frequency in order for them to accept the signal, right?
Yeah. And
to accept the signal.
And they can penetrate difficult environments better because of the low frequencies.
Exactly. Yeah. But again, we're going to have issues with data on those low frequencies. So that's why I'm hoping they can develop this to handle higher frequencies, which I'm sure they can.
Yeah. I mean, there's some sensitivity limitations, some environment constraints when we talked about ultra high vacuum conditions of the 2x10⁻⁷ M bar. Although I understand what an M bar is, I do not understand that level of vacuum that is required for that.
Yeah, neither do I.
So it's interesting to see this. I like how we're moving, and that we'll probably be able to apply some of the lessons learned. Every time we build a new type of antenna, it's usually also be able to apply to more and more other things. So we'll be able to apply this, some of these features, to potentially Wi-Fi signals and other things, where we'll say, okay, well, let's add a low signal that'll reach past the 300-meter range or what have you, that will give you more range away from your house or in your backyard. Or maybe it'll do this, or maybe it'll do that. As they add these things, it's always great to see how far we come, from the big antenna and the satellite things on the roof to the little ones on the wall that are about that big now, to this thing that is so small we wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, like, we have antennas in our cell phones. They're just wrapped around the outside of the phones, right? So imagine if we could, it doesn't take up that much room, but imagine if we could reduce that size to nano size, right?
Yeah. And talk about penetration. That's exactly, I'm in the basement. I've got not a great signal here. Wouldn't it be nice to have a better signal, because I've got better penetration with these types of antennas?
Yeah.
And you get 5 bars everywhere, kind of thing. So it would definitely be great to start implementing these types of technologies. So this is great for Internet of Things, ionospheric research, underground operations, underwater communication. So would love to hear what you think about the laser antenna and this nano antenna and the future of antennas in general.
Yeah. This is cool.
Okay, I forgot to share that. There we go. DARPA just broke another historic wireless power transmission breakthrough. This record-setting test in New Mexico represents a watershed moment for wireless power transmission technology. The achievement encompasses multiple impressive metrics that demonstrates the maturity of long-distance power transfer systems. The test delivered over 800 watts across a distance of 5.3 miles or 8.6 kilometers for 30 continuous seconds. This sustained transmission resulted in 1 megajoule of total energy being successfully beamed from transmitter to receiver. These numbers dwarf previous attempts in the field. To put this achievement in perspective, earliest wire transmissions had only reached 230 watts over 1.7 kilometers. Some undisclosed power levels have been transmitted over 3.7 kilometers, but DARPA's test exceeded these by substantial margins in both power and distance. What do you think of this, John?
So I think this is I love this. This is cool. It's also scary. I think it reminds me of there was something, I don't know if it was a movie or actual something that happened where they were beaming power and birds were flying through and getting fried. I don't know if that was real or not. I can't remember. But so DARPA, I love the acronym for this though. They're Persistent Optical Wireless Energy Relay, or POWER, is a program that achieved this. So the receiving station was able to collect the energy that was being transmitted for about 30 seconds. And so the tests themselves, they use a system where the energy from the laser is converted to electricity via this uniquely designed receiver, which features photovoltaic cells. So this is considered a huge step forward. Now, the heart of this setup is what's called the PRAD, or the Power Receiver Array Demo. So it's a compact receiver, and it's designed to maximize conversion into energy. So incoming laser light hits this, it enters this spherical container, it's bounced off a parabolic mirror, and then it's spread across several solar cells arranged inside, which converts the beam into direct, useful electricity. So the receiver's efficiency wasn't too bad, around 20%. And so the main emphasis for this phase was building an affordable working system, even if it's not fully optimized for efficiency. So that's cool that they're focusing on something that is realistic, if that makes sense, right? You're on mute. Or I can't hear you.
No, I was muted because I coughed earlier. Tesla apparently did this ages ago, but how much he was able to transfer over what distance, maybe we will never know, because famously, I'm not sure, I can't remember, was the FBI or the CIA that came in and took him away and took all his notes.
Yeah.
But that conspiracy theory aside, this is very interesting as we start to get real levels of power transmission wirelessly.
Yeah.
Depending how much it takes to transmit that power over 5-mile distance, do we eliminate power lines now?
Well, I don't know, but so one thing to touch on is this is different than other wireless power beaming, which used RF frequency techniques. So this is new. This is using lasers, which is it's much tighter, it's more focused. So I think if they do get it to a point, I think it could potentially replace wires in certain cases, right?
Definitely. Optical wireless energy systems. This demonstrated the potential for remote relay networks. These networks could extend transmission range by establishing intermediate stations that receive and retransmit power beams.
Yeah.
The relay systems offer a significant advantage over large antenna array radio systems. Optical relay stations require smaller equipment and can achieve more precise beam targeting. This makes it ideal for deployment in challenging terrain where traditional infrastructure would be impractical. Expert analysis reveals that key difference between optical and radio wireless energy transmission. Optical systems achieve higher beam focusability than microwave alternatives, allowing for more precise energy delivery. Radio frequency systems offer better atmospheric penetration and omnidirectional capabilities. However, they require large transceiver arrays and complex beam forming systems. So the wavelength limitations of radio also make it achieving tight beam focus more challenging. Yeah. And I think that's where the difference was, the radio wave where we're beaming a bunch of power over a radio wave was potentially interfering with wildlife and whatnot, versus something where you can be much targeted, which again might have an effect on wildlife, but hopefully you're talking about maybe a 3-foot area rather than, 20, 30, 40-foot beam or wave that is traveling distances of this miles, right?
Yeah. And I think this is great. I think this could be the potential. This could enable us to harvest solar energy directly from space, which is what we need to do in order to be most efficient, right?
Yeah, and we've seen several, and we've talked about several of those technologies here where they're talking about reflecting light, and they're also talking about collecting it and then beaming it down. So this is interesting to see whether it's this type of technology that would allow that to happen. But I don't know what kind of relay you would need to get to 5.3. It'll probably beam better in space, but to get like 5.3 miles away.
Yeah.
So this is really cool technology. I love where this is going and being able to beam and charge. So we not only get to the point of, okay, at a large level, we'll be able to replace infrastructure, but at a lower level, we'll actually be able to potentially charge devices and stuff at a completely different wireless style where I don't have to have, it on the circle close to my thing. It can be, within a few feet of the device to be charging. I'm not sure we want those kind of not radio waves, obviously, those kind of beams running through our houses and our systems and our bodies, but it enables that kind of a thing. We'd love to. What do you think about the future of this, John?
Well, here's the thing is that, like, I know that there was a demonstration of wireless power inside this room and people just had their devices and it was getting charged wirelessly. That scares the crap out of me. But I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get to a wireless power type system within a room using lasers, because those are fixed points of energy, right? I'm curious. I love the potential here. This is great. I think we're still at the early stages of this, and I think there's more development that can be done. But I think this is a great step forward to getting past or evolving past radio frequency power, for sure.
Yeah, and I can see all sorts of future applications. We're talking about battery operated vehicles now and potential super capacitors later, but the issue here in cold Canada, not now obviously, but in the winters, is the batteries don't last as long in distance and you're afraid. But if they had these wireless beaming things on the side of the road where you could actually charge your vehicle if you needed to, and you could, we're not there yet, but I could see a future where this all of a sudden becomes way more practical in reality.
Yeah.
All right, John. We'd love to hear what you guys think about this wireless power beaming, what features you're looking forward to. You think this technology is not going to happen, or you're just waiting for wireless power technology because you want to beam as much power through your neighbor's house as possible because he plays music till 2 a.m. and you've had enough of it. Let us know what you think. All right, John, what do you got going on?
Not much, just hitting the ground running. We're working, last month we were working on AI compute funds and just helping companies secure government funding. How about you, Craig?
Life is good. Lots going on. If you're watching this live, we've got a Flowgrammer event on July 22nd, but that'll be long past once this gets actually published. We'll have another Flowgrammer event in August. Currently in talks with N8N. They're probably going to sponsor that event, which is going to be great. So come out and check out all the Flowgrammer stuff at flowgrammer.ca or follow at Flowgrammers everywhere. We have Startup Drinks TO will be returning in September, and check everything else out at torontostarts.com. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.